and to share only as much as will be helpful. Now, in an organization, it's very important that, especially when you're going through changes, that everyone understands the context of where you've been, where you are, where you need to go, and why the changes need to happen, and how it'll benefit everyone when you get there. But we want to share as much as possible, but we don't want to give so much information that the immature can turn it around, twist it, and use it against us and damage our relationships or damage the organization. The other remedy for that is to affirm and over-affirm the resolve to find solutions and to grow, both personally and corporately, and then to do it. So, in other words, if you're bringing up an issue that needs to be addressed, and you just want to be open and authentic about it, don't just share the weakness. Don't give the impression that, hey, we're just weak and we're just going to stay here and it's just all bad. No, anytime that happens, people respect people who own their weaknesses but are resolved to grow and actually do so and to overcome those weaknesses. Those are some of the most amazing stories. Sometimes, like if you watch the Olympics or, athletes who have been through terrible disasters and tragedies and physical injuries, but they've worked their way back. They didn't just stay there. They were open about the fact of it. They couldn't help but be. They couldn't hide it very well, like sometimes we can, but they were resolved to come back, and they have a comeback story, and we all love those comeback stories. So let your people, if it's your family, if it's your organizational team, if it's whoever it happens to be, let them know that, hey, this might be where we are, but this is not where we're going to stay. I am personally committed and committed to this organization that we are going to find better ways forward, and we're going to move there together. Might not be easy, but it's going to be valuable and it's going to be worthwhile at the end. Number 2, being authentic and open may promote clinging among the needy who want to find common ground with you based on the weaknesses that you share and not in your resolve to find remedies. Now, let me give you a personal illustration. There are times when I love to just be wide open, authentic, vulnerable, just let down the guards. Those times are when I'm around somebody else who I know understands where I'm at, and they have pressed through and they have gained ground and they have gained greater success, because I know they're going to understand. I know they're not going to throw the book at me. I know they're not going to condemn me. I know they're going to be able to help me because they know what it feels like and they've been there themselves. Now, that's the positive. The negative is when there's somebody who just wants me to be weak because they see themselves as weak and unable to grow, and they just want to have a buddy that can hang out and commiserate about how bad it is. How bad it is that, like Chicken Little, how bad it is that the sky's falling, how bad it's going to be when it falls, and how heavy it's going to be to put back up. There's a lot of people like that. I don't want to share with those people. I don't want to have them try to grab me into their pity party and keep me there. No, I'm sharing the weakness, not because I want people to stay there with, and I'm not trying to get a club of weak people together. I'm trying to own the weakness so we can get the best thinking and the best thinking towards the best results together and move ahead together. I'm not trying to rent space there. I might have visited there, but I want to see that place in my rearview mirror just as soon as possible. So the remedy for this is to realize that the difference between the weak and the strong is not that they don't have weaknesses. We all have problems. We all have weaknesses. The difference is in their resolve to do something about it. Okay? Somebody said one time that a pig and a sheep may both fall into the same mud hole. But while the pig is squealing in delight, just doesn't have any desire to get out, the sheep is going to be bleeding its head off trying to climb out and seeking. Both end up in the same mud hole with the same problems. It's what's going to be our response to that. Okay? Now, some would rather wallow in self-pity and failure than to do something that will get them recognition and praise for doing something positive. So many people, they just don't see value in themselves. And that's one of the things I try to do always, is help people see value in themselves. That, hey, you're valuable. God loves you. He gave everything for you. You've got gifts. You've got strengths. You've got abilities that this world needs, but you've got to be willing to develop them. God's gift to us is our gifts and abilities. Our gift back to him is developing them and doing something with them that benefit our fellow man and can actually build ourselves as well. We have to do that. We have to find those ways to get forward. But some people, when they see that we're not going to commiserate with them and stay stuck in wallowing in the self-pity and the weakness, they may try to find fault with us to make themselves feel better. Okay. If they can't have a buddy that'll just pat them on the back and tell them everything's okay when they're stuck and they see somebody growing, they may actually attack that person growing and try to pull them down so that they can feel better instead of actually doing something good that they can feel good about and developing themselves and getting themselves out of that mud hole using their God-given gifts and the resources and the friendships that are available to them. So our constant devotion to growth and improvement will silence those type of people. And if they refuse to grow, you got somebody on your team and they refuse to grow in a way that's healthy for the organization, they need to be removed as soon as possible. Do everything to give them every opportunity, provide them the context, show them why their behavior does not line up with the organizational mission and values and the context and the culture, the healthy culture that you want to have. But if they're not going to grow, they need to go. One or the other, grow or go. But if they start attacking us, our constant devotion to growth and improvement will ultimately silence them. It's sooner or later, it's going to be noticed that, hey, that guy, that's the real deal. Boy, he's putting up, he's abiding under a lot of pressure. He's doing a lot of stuff. And even though he's not saying a lot about it, he's committed to grow and do what he says he's going to do for his or her good and also for the organization. Now, this is a note on that one. Intuition may tell you if someone has the potential and the dormant desire to grow. Sometimes people may seem like they're just stuck, but really on the inside, there's that little seed waiting to take root and grow. And sometimes you can't just not invest in them. In a case like that, if your intuition tells you, hey, this person's kind of stuck, but there's something in there. I just know there's something in there. There's this seed that's going to take root and grow. In that case, being more personally open with them may help give them hope. My recommendation is to give a little at a time, though. Don't tell them everything about your life. Give them a little bit at a time and give them a remedial course of action so that they can do something to take a step in the right direction. And then, let them pass the test. Watch and see how they do with that. And if they do that well, and if they start showing that, hey, that seed's growing and taking root, then you can be more open. Then you can give them more without worrying about them trying to twist it around and attack you and doing something that damages, your organization. Okay, so we're going to take I know this is a lot to digest, but this is recorded. You can listen to it again. You can message me, right here on the page. If you're looking at it on the Facebook page, you can type in a comment or a question there. Or if you're on the radio show, you can get my email address from it and you can send me an email and then we'll address those. But this is so important because what happens is a lot of times I'm talking to managers and I'm talking to directors and what they say is I want to be open, but every time I'm open, people just trample me underfoot and use it against me. And I say, what I think is the key is being as open as is appropriate, but letting people know you are committed to overcoming and to growing as an individual and taking the team forward. And when they see that you're not going to put up with anything that stays in a weak area or isn't committed to growing, when they see that, the respect is going to be there. And if it's not there, it's probably time to start working towards a transition plan to get them off of the team and get the right people in the right seats on the bus on your team and get the bus going in the right direction. So we're going to take a short break and I'm going to come back with some closing applications.
Jeff will be back shortly to wrap up today's message. This is Gabriela, still on the scene today with Talk Network Radio. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Empowered Living with Jeff Byrd. If you've missed any part of today's message, you can hear it again online, as well as the entire archive of Empowered Living at www.talknetworkradio.com or search keyword #Empowered Living. We would like to acknowledge our music partners, Sound Ideas for Corporate to the Max and Kevin MacLeod for Airport Lounge. Any scriptures read during this broadcast are from the New American Standard Version of the Holy Bible. If you would like to learn more about Jeffrey Byrd Coaching, visit www.jeffbyrdcoaching.com. That is JEFFBYRD coaching.com. Do a Facebook search for @CoachingRocks or drop Jeff a line at jeff@jeffbyrdcoaching.com. Again, JEFFBYRD coaching.com. Let Jeff's coaching rocks be the building blocks of your empowered success. Now, let's go back to Jeff for the rest of today's message.
And welcome back. This is Jeff Byrd, and you're listening to Empowered Living, and we're talking about the power of authenticity today. And want to close out today's message and broadcast with 5 applications. The first application, when it comes to being open and authentic and just dropping the guard, being vulnerable with anyone, with a friend, with your family, especially with a business organization. The first one is to discern your audience. Discern your audience. And if they're not mature enough to be able to help and to be part of the answer to the problem, don't give them information that they can use against you. Don't do that. Discern your audience. Number 2 is share what they need to know. Now, we want to give them as much as they can handle. We want to be as transparent as is possible without harming the group through casting doubt. If there's just a whole lot of problems going on, you might not want to bring every single thing to the table at the first conversation. Be open with them. Always be true to the reality, but it doesn't mean you have to give the entire reality all at once. Somebody said that leadership is disappointing people at a rate they can tolerate. So sometimes they don't want to give them everything all at once. But then give them some, work towards the solutions, and as you start getting momentum at working through things, then give them more as they can handle it. So be as open as is constructive. If your greater openness tends towards not being constructive, then just wait on that. Go with what you can give them and get that momentum going, get the ball rolling in a good direction, and then give more as they get to the point where they can handle it. Number 3, assure and reassure your people, your team, your family of your commitment to growth, personally as a leader and as a team. But now don't just assure them that, don't just growing and being open to feedback. Some of the best questions a leader can ask are very short sentences. They are, what am I missing? What do you think? How can I improve? Be open to that feedback as a leader and let them give that. And don't crumble under it if they give you bad things. Thank them for it. Look for the nugget of gold of truth. Even if it's given with a poor attitude, there might be a nugget of gold of truth there that you can take and make something out of that and really improve and help everybody around you as well. So assure and reassure of your commitment to growth, and then back it up by doing it and being open. And then number 4, own your organizational issues head on. Own them head on. Don't skirt them. Don't avoid them. Don't let them fester. Take them head on. Look for them. Bring them out on the table for conversation, and then engage in the practice of healthy conflict in order to find remedies. Now, what I mean by healthy conflict is this. When you have unhealthy conflict, people are fighting for their personal agendas. They're fighting for their own egos. They're just trying to be right. They're putting other people down. That's very unhealthy interpersonal conflict. That can lead to some mean-spirited, ugly stuff. That's not the kind of conflict we want. What I mean when I say healthy conflict is looking for the best idea to move forward. It's putting personal egos and agendas and even departmental agendas aside to find what's best for everybody, for the organization and for those that they serve. So own those organizational issues head on. Do not let them fester till they're out of hand, and then practice healthy conflict to find the remedy. And then lastly, number 5 is deal with problem attitudes and behaviors immediately, as soon as they arise. I have a friend who's a director at an assisted living facility, and she told me the story about a woman they brought on, and she was very qualified, but she had an abrasive attitude. She said she called her in immediately as soon as she became aware of it, and they sat down and she said, okay, this is who we are. This is how we behave. This is why we exist, to help people. And this attitude that I'm hearing about, this abrasive attitude, this isn't in alignment with that. And so I'm going to need to work with you to see if we can get you aligned with that, or else we're going to need to make some other arrangements and you're going to have to find something else. Well, that woman took that to heart, and they worked together, and she became so valuable. She was a med cart technician. She delivered the medicines to people, and a family came in to meet with the sales